Okay, so we are again doing a Zoom meeting, and hopefully we have a good sized audience, and we'll get to them in a minute. We have most all of our staff here. Wow, we've got 17 people tuned in tonight. So we're ready to go with that. That's wonderful. The first item on our agenda is the consent calendar. Is there anything anyone wishes to pull for future discussion, or I have one item I would like to just make a quick comment on.
Would you like to back up and do the Pledge of Allegiance?
No, we're going to skip that tonight because we don't have the flag.
Right.
So I would like to pull item 3C just to make a comment there. Is there anything anyone else on the council wishes to pull from the consent calendar for separate discussion? Hearing no one say anything or raise their hand, I will just make my comment on item 3, and this has to do with the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, the NPDES permit. This is something that comes up every year. It's a very routine item normally, but we were warned a couple of years ago that this fund would be gradually starting to run out of money, and we were going to wind up having to figure out how to augment the funds in this. We also have some new regulations that have been put in place by the control board, and in the past years we have written letters to them. In fact, in past years we've gone and testified in their interminable hearings to make our points known that this is a huge imposition on local government, and there are reasons why we have a hard time complying. This year, adding new, more expensive regulations is going to be very difficult at best to deal with, along with everything else. So I would like to suggest that while, yes, we just approve what's on here, that we also give direction for the either the city manager or the mayor, preferably both, write letters to the Water Control Board expressing our concerns in a very strong manner so that they understand that this is really serious. I understand that the countywide board is doing that, but it always has more effect when they see it coming from the political side as well, and they see numerous letters coming. So since we can't go and testify somewhere this year, I think it's all the more important that we get a letter in expediently to do that, similar to the way we've done that in previous years. So does anyone have an issue with that? Or do I have a motion or comments? Who would like to speak?
Do we have any ability?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we have any ability to not do this? It sounds like it's kind of mandated and we just have to pay for it and don't get anything reimbursed. Is that about right? That's
about right. And we were allowed to charge up to $29 a year for this, and it doesn't cover anywhere close to all of it. And we've had a reserve. We can ask Laura to expand on that if we need to, but we've had a reserve that we've been whittling down to help pay the extra cost, and we're going to run out of that reserve. So having all these other things piled on that are going to cost even more over the next year is going to make this really problematic.
What's the expectation of timing for when we run out of the reserve?
Laura, would you like to address that? Laura?
I think her video froze.
Laura's on mute.
Hey, Mayor.
Yeah, I think we lost video on her.
I can answer that. I talked with Laura from our projections. It's going to happen this upcoming fiscal year.
That's what I thought I remembered. It's before the end of 2021.
Mm-hmm. And then when that happens, I'm looking through the report. I read it, but I don't remember all the numbers. Looks like we'll have like a $30,000 shortfall, give or take.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Laura's having some IT issues.
Yes.
Well, that sucks. Is there any, and there's essentially no alternative?
No, we can't get out of this one. We could be fined very, very heavily if we don't comply.
Councilmember Juan, it's a federal mandate.
Rolls downhill, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the reason I say I think as in past years, we need to write a very strong letter from both the management and the political side. The county group that we work with has already done one. Is that Laura trying to get her audio working?
Music, I think.
Yeah.
You're not coming through, Laura. So anyway, unless there's an objection, I'd like to add that to the direction for this consent calendar item. You got to unmute to you.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar, including the amendment to item 3C, as just discussed, providing the city manager and the mayor the authority to write a letter.
Do I have a second?
Yeah,
A second.
Okay.
Okay. So Janet, you got that? You made the motion. Both CW, you can choose. Okay. All right. Very good. All in favor, please say aye. We're going to have a roll call vote on that, Janet.
Janet's on mute.
Aye.
Aye.
Ay. Janet, you're on mute. Thanks.
Okay, here we go. We'll start again. Councilmember Catalano?
Aye.
Councilmember Diaz?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf? Vice Mayor Juan?
Aye.
And Mayor Pierce?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. The next item on the agenda is recognitions and presentations. We don't have any of those this evening, so we will go to reports. And neither the Planning Commission nor the Trails and Landscaping Committee have met. I do understand that there will be an upcoming Trails and Landscaping Committee meeting soon to introduce our new TLC members to their job and all of that. So they'll get to play with the Zoom meeting as well. So we'll go to City Manager and staff. Connie?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I have, after me, I have an update from Paul, our Finance Director, and Matthew Fesky, our Community Development Director. But before I allow them to give a brief update, the two things I wanted to share with the City Council and the community. Obviously, we are under this shelter in place, and I just ask Council and community to have some patience, and I appreciate the patience and understanding from the community. There's a lot of weeds as you're walking through the trails, and our maintenance staff is trying their best to get to everything. They've knocked out about 5 to 6 feet on the edge of all the trails in the city as of today to allow people to get 6 feet away from, to keep 6 feet away from each other and keep a safe distance and maintain social distancing. So I just want to let everybody know, as we have limited staff right now in shelter in place, there's going to be weeds that people see, things that come up and pop up, but City Hall remains open. We continue to work either remotely here in City Hall. I'm here in City Hall right now, so feel free to call. We have people taking the phones. You can email us as things pop up. We'll get to it as soon as possible. And we have our awesome staff that continues to work. But I wanted to also share one last reminder. Tomorrow, the county face covering order starts, and it's not too different from what's happening right now. This is just those in essential services and in essential businesses to just cover up. And if you're outside, you don't have to cover up, only when you come in within 6 feet of another group that's not in your household. So if you're exercising, if you're hiking, you don't have to cover up, only up until the point where you're within 6 feet. So just use, and we got to I got to say, a lot of our residents have been doing that. So thank you for everyone's understanding, and we appreciate everyone's patience and understanding through this time. But our first responders are out and about, and they are really, doing their best to keep everybody safe. And we appreciate everyone really using their common sense through this time. And Mayor, that is it from me. I now turn over the time to Paul Rodriguez, our Finance Director, for a brief finance update.
Thank you, and good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. I did want to provide you with a brief update as to what I've been doing with regards to the upcoming 2021 fiscal year budget since starting with the City of Clayton on April 6th. In a nutshell, I've been working with the city's budget since my first day, concentrating on just that, on the proposed 2021 budget to get it before you and the public, in order to get it before you and the public before June 30th. Specifically, I've been working on getting each of the city's funds to the point where I can go to the different departments to get answers for information that they will be specifically providing. Including the general fund, the city has 26 different funds, and the general fund has 9 different departments. As of this evening, I've completed my examination of the 25 funds other than the general fund, and have reached the point where I'll need assistance from the other departments in projecting current year revenues and expenditures, as well as expenditures for the upcoming 2021 fiscal year. Beginning tomorrow, we'll be doing more of the examination on the general fund and its 9 departments, getting those also to the point where I can assist departments in completing their 1920 projections and 2021 proposed budget projections. To date, since day one in my examination of the financial records of the city, I haven't seen anything out of place. Everything seems to be tracking through February with the current year budget. Nothing's out of alignment. That being said, I have been and will be adjusting some revenue and more so in the area of revenues, but maybe a little bit with some payroll projections with regards to the pandemic and how that's affected the city. Last week, and in getting to those numbers, I attended a webinar put on by the League of California Cities regarding the effects of the pandemic, the effects that the pandemic's expected to have on revenues such as gas taxes and sales tax. As more information is gathered, I'll adjust the budget accordingly, of course. And that's my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Hey, Paul. This is Jeff. Typically, we would do a mid-year update. I think just based on vacancy as well as everything that's going on, that kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. I know that you're working towards a budget for the next year. Do you have any idea of how we're doing in the current period or in the current year?
So, and as you know, Councilmember Juan, a lot of revenues, for instance, in the current year, a lot of operational expenditures, you can, say we're through the month of February that's been closed. You can divide a lot of those numbers, divide them by 8, multiply them by 12, and annualize those numbers. But a lot of revenues, such as property taxes, they only come in twice a year. Everything's tracking, and I guess what we would call a mid-year budget that would have been produced earlier, that will be part of the proposed budget in the budget. You have your 1920 projected revenues as compared to the current year budget, and that'll kind of be your forecast. You'll have 2 columns that can compare and contrast with one another, your current year budget and the numbers as we project them for both operational expenses, CIPs, and revenues.
So what is your expected timing for that, as well as the first pass of the next fiscal year, the FY21 budget?
I hope to have this before the I don't know how many workshops typically the council has. I think it's 1 or 2 workshops. I hopefully will have that, by the beginning of June to bring before the council and the public, with, at the pleasure of the, to the city manager, of course.
Okay, so the expectation is sometime the beginning of June, maybe potentially the first meeting in June for both the update for the current year as well as the projected following year budget.
That's correct. That's my hope and expectation, and I'm going to endeavor to make that happen. I don't see why we can't. Some of the things that I'm doing right now in kind of populating the numbers for the prior audited fiscal year, which was June 30th, 2019, is going through and really, examining pretty much every line item. Because I don't know this budget like I knew the budgets in Fortuna or Eureka or the district that I came from after, being at all three of those places for at least 5 years. So I'm probably going a little bit more methodically and slowly so I can understand and get to the point where I can have intelligent answers for the questions that I know will be forthcoming.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks.
So I have one other comment, Mr. Rodriguez. So I really appreciate you bringing up the pandemic and looking into what potential impact that has on city revenues. I've heard that I think a lot of other cities are anticipating a pretty big hit because of the pandemic. So as soon as you have some information on what that looks like in Clayton, would definitely appreciate hearing more about it. So thank you for that.
Okay, I have a little bit of information now, just in the manner in which I forecast the gas tax revenues for the current year that we're in for 1920, and then the 2021 numbers. We get projections from the state. I think they come twice a year, and the most updated projections were pretty recent, but prior to the pandemic. And the research that I have learned is that gas tax, or you travel by car, has decreased about 28%. So I've kind of taken the last 4.5 months of this year and kind of reduced by 28%. So thereby reducing that forecast. That's kind of the methodology that I'm using. The other really big, fortunately, property taxes really aren't going to be affected by this. Primarily sales tax and gas tax. And Clayton isn't overly dependent on sales tax. We do have a sales tax component, and we'll be looking at those numbers certainly. I've talked to some folks at HDL Corn & Cone. That's a firm that I've used in Fortuna and Eureka, and I believe the district or the city of Clayton has used them for some other forecasts, and have reached out to them for some numbers as to how sales tax might be impacted.
Great, thank you.
When you mentioned the gas tax, we don't, you're right, we don't rely very heavily on gas tax, correct?
On sales tax, we do rely on gas tax for streets and roads repairs, and that's a tax that's based upon the volume and not the price. Whereas, say there is a sales tax component, of course, to gasoline, and that's based upon the price of gas. But a gas tax is based upon, and it's allocated it's allocated statewide based upon your population.
Okay.
And not necessarily, yeah.
What I'm leading to is the fact that I track all numbers on the stock market on a regular basis, and for the first time yesterday, gasoline per barrel, or oil per barrel, went negative by $36, and it's back in a positive range. It's already been translated. And interestingly enough, at the gas pump, gasoline is now very close to $2 a gallon. So I guess I'm wondering what potential impact this is going to have as long as the oil remains at that particular range.
So once again, Councilmember Diaz, gas taxes are different than sales taxes. A sales tax is based upon price, and there is a sales tax component to when you purchase gasoline, but a gas tax is based upon the volume of gasoline used, not the price.
Gotcha.
Am I correct in? Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I was going to ask Connie a follow-up on his report. He said that City Hall is open, and I know you can call and get people to respond and answer the phone. I thought we had closed City Hall.
City Hall is closed to the public, but staff
Okay, that's so you can't walk in, but you can call in.
You can call in, correct.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Is the percent of our budget that's gas tax, is that like in the 20% range?
Well, I apologize. I don't have that number right off the top of my head. It goes into a segregated special revenue fund and can only be used for streets and roads repairs and projects. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing about sales tax is that will impact us for our Measure J funds. And we've been told by the county so far, very preliminarily, to expect at least a 30% drop, if not more, for several months to come. So that will affect our return to source money that we get for streets and roads, because that's allocated both on lane miles and on population.
Right.
So that will be impacted, but we have the fortune that we have really good roads compared to everybody else in the Bay Area. And so if we have to skip a year of paving, then that might be what we'd have to do. But at least that should not be too awfully bad a hit. So we'll see where we are. Okay. CW, did you have any questions? Everybody else has chimed in on this one.
No.
Okay. Very good. All right. And then did I understand we have a report as well from Matthew?
Yes, we did. Matthew, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Mr. City Manager and Madam Mayor and City Council. First of all, in case nobody knows, my name is Matthew Fesky, and I am the Community Development Director. I'm here permanently, as long as you want me, and I'll be happy to do my best. We are open for business, just to let the public know. We are conducting business. We are operating at about 97% of service levels. We are responding to all calls, all emails, all inquiries. The only thing that we cannot do are face-to-face meetings or face-to-face inquiries. So, but just to let the public know that we are open for business and processing applications and everything that we can as much as we can. Just to highlight a couple things, planning, we have sent the council letter to the county in response to the CMEX application for the reclamation plan. Staff has also sent in requests for clarification on the scope of work and a response from the county. So hopefully we will get something back from the county shortly on that. There are a couple applications that were on hold while there were interim folks in place. They are now wanting to get back on track, and we are starting to process their applications. So you'll be seeing these shortly. Planning Commission. We will be holding a Planning Commission meeting next week. So it's open to the public. The Planning Commissioners and I will be introducing ourselves, and any members of the public that wish to attend, we welcome them. As far as code enforcement, we did have one case that we were able to close out this week, which was very nice to see. There was voluntary compliance, and all parties are satisfied. So that was very nice to see. There has been some movement on from the successor agency. There was an inquiry about a deed restricted loan that wants to be refinanced. So we are looking into that to see what we can do and what we cannot do, and we will respond accordingly to that. Other than that, we welcome any business. We still will answer all questions, and I'd be happy to answer any questions tonight.
Any questions of Matthew?
Yeah, did you say that you were holding a planning commission meeting, like an in-person planning commission meeting?
Not in person, it's a virtual meeting.
Okay. Is that like this? You're gonna do this?
Yes.
Is that also gonna be like televised like this as well?
Yes, it'll be open to the public, yes.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And I just want to say that thank you, Matthew. You jumped in with both feet. And Matthew wouldn't say this probably, but I'm going to. He is a self-proclaimed CEQA nerd. And so he's taking a great interest in all of our issues and looking at them. And so he was just right on the spot with the CEQA response. And we had already entered one letter of response. He entered a second one from staff. And then in addition to the letter that we all talked about at our last meeting from the council. Those are all posted on our city website under regional planning. So if you go to the planning tab and it's under planning commission and then you go to planning and then you go to regional, and I'm saying this for the audience as well, you will find all of the things that the city has submitted as well as the links to both the CMAX website and to the county's website that deals with that particular project, since that's under the control of the county. And Connie worked hard and got that page up very quickly within about 2 hours. After we were talking about getting that letter sent, we knew we needed to post it somewhere. So rather than just having a haphazard halfway answer and just posting the one letter, Connie actually created another section in that page to be able to host all of that information. So all the Clayton residents and the nearby residents who live in the county have a one-stop place to go to see all of that information. I just wanted to say, Connie, great job. You cannot tell it was just added. It looks exactly like everything that Paul had put together the first time. So we appreciate that very much. I had a follow-up question for Connie, just to clarify. Masks are required if you're going into any store. They're required on transit. They're required any other public place where other people gather at all, correct?
Correct. Yes. If you're working or if you're inside.
Right. So you can get away with it if you're hiking on the mountain and you're the only one there. But if there's a group of you, you need to wear the mask. So.
Yeah. And we have more information. There's also a page created on our website. If you go to the front page, it's the COVID-19 Clayton page, which is just a resource of things that Clayton can point direction to the county, what they've been doing, but also this will be on the top of that webpage as to for the community to know.
Yeah, that's a good resource because all the orders are posted there. So that's wonderful. All right. Thank you all. That's good to hear how hard you're working, and I know you are. You're being very productive. So let's go to City Council reports, and I'm going to start with Jim.
Well, thank you. The only thing that I've been participating in are a variety of conference calls, and if things are very interesting out at the receiving end. I've gotten a very light sample. First, some of our constituents have received their first stimulus direct deposit, and that seems to be working okay. And I guess they are the ones that had filed electronically initially, and now the next set of payments were going to be checks for those people that filed for tax returns and sent a check in as opposed to transferring it via their bank account. And then the last phase, I guess, will be those that don't file and receive Social Security and so forth on that. An interesting thing, though, that I found out in talking to at least one person that's on unemployment benefits. This is something that's going to need some further look at, and I'm not sure who administers other than the Employment Development Department within the state, but they are receiving a notice that they have completed, and they are authorized to receive unemployment insurance. What they're receiving instead of a check, they get an ATM card from Bank of America. It tells them that they have to call an 800 number or go online to actually establish a PIN so that they can extract the money out of the only source they can get it from, and that's from a B of A ATM. And that therein lies the real issue. they are not able to get through the maze of do loops and overloaded system to get that PIN established. So I just give you all a heads up that in case you talk to somebody and they say, well, I'm on unemployment, but can't access the funds. So that'll be a development that'll have to take place over time. And I suspect that after that initial group that are on unemployment benefits will start tapering down as the overload, like anything else, when something new starts, that they will be able to get in, establish the PIN so they can go to an ATM and extract the funds. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Jim. I'm going around my screen, so Jeff?
Much like our last meeting, I've spent a lot of time indoors. It's awesome. Mostly email with folks from around town, but just trying to find balance on a new normal, so this is great. Nothing more substantial to report.
Okay, Tuya?
So for me on the committee and liaison report, so we had the East Contra Costa County Habitat Conservancy Board meeting last Friday, April 17th. We obviously had it by teleconference. I think nothing significant on the agenda itself, but I think the good news for the Conservancy is that their operations have now returned to as close to normal as possible. Obviously, their staff is working remotely, but they had a little bit of a delay in some of the monitoring and inspection tasks, but they've now been able to resume those to some extent at least, but nothing else.
That's great. CW?
Well, aside from the emails and calls, several of those this past week especially, and I've also passed some of those things on to Ikani. I had a meeting with Ikani as well. And sat in on some of the Senator Glazer COVID-19 calls, including one today. And other than that, that's it.
Thank you. Like the rest of you, I've been on a lot of those conference calls and that kind of thing and Zoom meetings with various agencies. The Contra Costa Transportation Authority is back up to full speed and regular meetings. We had a vendor switch for our video in between all of this, so we had to make some technical changes at the same time as we're trying to gear up to do Zoom. So coordinating two different vendors was interesting, but we're back up to full speed as well. Have had regular Association of Bay Area Governments meetings both with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission and with our regular executive committee meetings. Also had a Zoom call for the California Association of Regional Councils. We had to postpone our annual conference, so we had to have our annual board meeting. And we did that via Zoom and had better attendance than we've normally had. I'm hearing that from a lot of these meetings, that because transportation is not an issue, trying to get somewhere for a meeting or get in between meetings, the attendance has been far better. So that's a good thing to hear. I did want to announce, and Jim may want to chime in at the end of this as well, I did want to announce that just for those who might not have heard, the Art and Wine Festival has been canceled by the CBCA. The concerts in the Grove are, as of today, being canceled through July 4th. The 4th of July parade is being canceled. We may come up with an alternative, something where we can take the parade to the people, but we haven't figured that one out yet, so we're still talking. And the Memorial Day ceremony at Flagpole has also been canceled. That will flow back to hopefully by Veterans Day, we'll all be able to gather in Concord for that ceremony. But the VFW was very sad to have to announce that their very well attended Memorial Day ceremony in Clayton will also be canceled. We are going to reschedule or try to reschedule all of the bands for the concerts in the Grove to next year. We are canceling as of today everything through July 4th. We will probably have to cancel the rest, but we're going to play that a little more conservatively in case we can give people some place to go once if this eases any sooner than any of us project. But since the governor said that mass gatherings through the month of August are highly unlikely, we're anticipating that we will be making further announcements. But for planning purposes, know that everything through the 4th of July is canceled. The CBCA will be announcing soon whether or not the barbecue will have to be canceled as well. So
if I may add on that one,
yeah.
We have a committee meeting scheduled for May 1st. And as you've just mentioned, Mayor, the governor is giving all sorts of indications that no mass gatherings through August. So right now it was scheduled to be and is planning to be on that last, or maybe the last weekend in August. It's beginning to look highly doubtful that that will take place either. So
Right. And the car shows, Jim?
On hold. I'm going to cancel the ones in June for sure. Okay. And then July, they start after the 4th. So
we'll play that by ear.
That's also being played by ear.
Okay, very good. And I'm going to check our attendee list real quick and see
Can we do a virtual 4th of July parade? Just all the kiddies.
Ideas on how to do that, I would say absolutely. So we'll welcome your ideas and we'll make an announcement later. I have some ideas on that, actually. I asked if we could do what the teachers did, but we're running into logistical issues, keeping people separated, even doing that. So anyway, I had on here under other for Keith Hayden to give us a report on the County Connections latest changes to schedule, but I don't see him under attendees.
He may be one of the phone calls, Mayor. I wonder.
I don't recognize any of those phone numbers as his, but if he's there, if you're on the phone, Keith, would you please raise your hand?
If you press *9 on the phone, *9, right, you can raise your hand for the 2 callers.
I don't see him on here, and none of those phone numbers look familiar to me as his number. So, okay, so we will skip that for now, and maybe he can give us a brief written report that Connie can include in the weekly report.
Got it.
So with that, we will then go to public comment. I don't have anyone who has submitted a comment for public comment on non-agenda items. We do have one email that came in that said it was public comment, but it actually applies to item 8B for the residential permit parking program on Regency. So we will hold that comment for then. But I would like to invite anyone in our attendee list, if you'd like to comment on an item, I see Jeff there, on any item not on tonight's agenda, either hit *9 or raise your hand. And I will go first to Jeff Weiner. Are you commenting on the Regency permit program, Jeff?
Yes, I am.
Okay. That's going to come up under item 8B, so that's
great.
A little bit from now.
Then we can wait. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will call on you then. I'm writing your name down right now. Anybody else? That
my boy was gonna comment in public comment, but he left. He wanted to say that he's opposed to quarantining. So
he proposed to what?
He's done with the quarantine. He wants it to end as soon as possible.
Let's take a vote. Let's take a vote.
I think you both are.
You know.
Yeah. I think we're all tired of it, but you know, my garden is looking better than it normally does. So, okay. All right. I don't see anyone else for public comment, so we will close the public comment period. We have no public hearings this evening, so we will go to our first action item, which is to discuss and consider options for the City of Clayton to recognize the LGBT Pride Month in June. And we have a report from our city manager. Connie?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and City Council. So what you have in front of you today is the discussion and consideration for City Council and the City of Clayton to recognize June as LGBT Pride Month. And LGBT Pride Month is a month-long annual observance of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender history and the history of gay rights and related civil rights movements currently celebrated in the month of June. On March 3rd, earlier this year, Councilmember C.W. Wolf and Councilwoman Tuya Catalano requested that this topic of recognizing June as LGBT Pride Month be brought before City Council, and that's why we're here in front of you today. Worked with my team to produce a staff report, and I just wanted to share some background. Here in Contra Costa County, there are 19 cities. Of that, there are 13 cities that do both a proclamation and fly the pride flag for Pride Month in the month of June. Only 4 cities do proclamations, which leave 2 cities, Danville and the City of Clayton, as undecided. And so in the staff report, I mentioned if council is interested in recognizing this month, there are 3 options to show recognition. 1 is proclamation. 2 is, in the staff report, we mentioned about 5 flagpoles that the city owns the property under these flagpoles: Clayton Library, City Hall, at the museum, at the Grove, and on the VFW Main Street and Oak Street location. So these are 5 locations to potentially fly the flag if City Council was interested. And then option 3 was we have to consider downtown light poles. So on July 4th, we fly USA flags on light poles. And our crew does this. There's about 30, 40 flagpoles that have USA flags during the July 4th season. This is something that we do. It's also an option as well for this. So all these 3 options are for your consideration, Council. And that's it for my report. I'll let you discuss, ask any questions, deliberate.
Thank you, Connie. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. I did a little extra research on this, and it takes about, for the downtown flagpoles, the ones that we do from before Memorial Day until after the 4th of July, we traditionally put the American flag up because that covers Memorial Day and Flag Day and the 4th. But it costs about $1,000 each time we change those flags, and it takes maintenance several days to do that. And I would just comment that that may not be our best use of resources this year. So, and keep in mind the cost of doing that, given that there aren't a whole lot of people in downtown right now, unless they're just walking through. So I would entertain comments. To you.
I have comments maybe after public comment.
Okay, you want to go to public comment then? I'm happy to do that. We don't have any that were submitted, but let's see if somebody has raised their hand.
I have a question. Is it time for a question or no?
Sure, absolutely.
In your research, Connie, did you, for the other 19 cities, I didn't have time to look at it. Do they also have a policy regarding what flags they fly in those cities, or is it ad hoc? I wasn't aware.
Yeah, it's a good question. One, we looked at Concord. They didn't create a policy. It's one that they are following that we would recommend following as well, is just doing a resolution if City Council felt, and just moving forward a flag at a time.
I can maybe answer that. to that. So I had looked at a couple others too, including Walnut Creek, and it appeared that they only addressed the Pride Month and did not look at creating a separate policy. So
they
that
take it
applies
as it comes.
Walnut Creek and Concord, at least.
Okay. Is there? I noticed there wasn't a cost associated, because in the staff report it says that that everything's going to be donated to the city. Who is do we know who the donor is, or who's picking up the cost? I'm just curious.
So it depends. We know right now city funds are not buying any materials unless you feel different right now. That can always change, but the assumption was we were going to approve if it is a flag. We don't have any funds for that unless you would like to approve funds for that.
From what I understand, it's going to come down to how many, if we decide to fly the flag on every pole or every, that kind of thing.
Yeah, one flagpole, like CW says, that I'm sure there's somebody who could donate that.
Yeah, and it seems like this is, as you mentioned in the report, that there are, several other cities, not just in the county, but pretty much all over the place. So it seems like this is well-trodden territory. But is there any potential for risk for any kind of, if we're taking this action, does it put the city at risk in any way if we approve of certain flags or certain whatever and don't approve of others?
Good question. Mala, I'll let our city attorney take this.
Yes, I think the key aspect is that we don't want to create this as a public forum, and so if it's the council who is making the decisions and bringing forward these requests, as this request has been brought forward by 2 council members, then we don't have to risk a scenario of another group coming in and wanting their flag flown that maybe the council doesn't want flown. So if the request, again, if you were to adopt a policy, it would be some sort of policy that would only allow flags to be flown at council requests, and that would limit what type of flags you could fly, so that it was only flags that the council preferred. We wouldn't have to look at the speech and make determinations on that. So the way this is being brought forward allows us to restrict what type of flags are flown. But I wouldn't recommend members of the public coming forward and making those requests and having the council act on those requests. Then that would create a problem for us potentially in the future.
Okay.
So what are you saying? It's going to be done on a case-by-case basis, or should be done on a case-by-case basis?
It can be done on a case-by-case basis as long as in this case, it's the council or a council member bringing forward the request for a specific flag to be flown.
Yeah.
If we're taking requests from members of the public, then that's where it could create an open public forum, and then it may be hard for us to deny certain flags versus other flags.
Got it. So what you're recommending is that it should come through a council member, as this has.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And to elaborate, I think that's because that falls under government speech doctrine, which we pretty much don't have a restriction on anything that we could say as our own body. But if we have it as a public forum, if we take applications for other flags, then we essentially open ourselves up to being required to not discriminate based on viewpoint, right?
Exactly. So that's exactly it. So we're trying to narrow that by only having council members make that request.
Okay, so essentially we can say whatever we want. There's no restriction. As long as we all agree, then we're fine. But once we open it up to the public, then we need to be content neutral on any policy that we would have.
That's exactly right. So we did, Connie and I discussed bringing forward a policy that only permitted the council to bring forward these flags, but we decided that might be too much in this case, and this was appropriately brought forward by council members. So as long as we continue with that, we can avoid the problems of having to not look at the content of the flag and being forced to put up flags that maybe the council doesn't want to put up.
I have comments too, Mayor, but I want to hold off until after public comments, if you don't mind, since I brought this forward.
Okay, I have 3 hands raised, and I would go first to Kellyanne Parker.
You want to open up public comment now? We're good?
Yes.
All right.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much for considering this. Sorry, I'm getting a little feedback. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the purpose of the flag is to create visibility, and whether you know it or not, there is a healthy LGBTQ community that lives within not only Clayton, but all over Contra Costa County. And what the flag represents is visibility and also safety, and their safety and visibility. And as you know, our community is often marginalized and or put at risk or harmed because of who we are. And by flying the flag, it's a show of solidarity. It's a show of safety and support for members who are already here and part of your community. And so I thank you for the consideration. Flying the flag, the proclamations are great, but flying the flag is what actually matters. And I thank you for taking into consideration my comment.
Thank you so much, Kellyanne. And we'll go next to Devin Murphy, followed by Cesar Zapata. Sorry about that. So Devin?
Give me 1 second, Mayor. All right. Devin.
Hello, good evening, Clayton Council. It's great to be here. My name is Devin Murphy. I'm the president of the Lambda Democratic Club of Contra Costa County. I happen to often also be a planning commissioner for your sister city of Pinole. And I call you my sister city mainly, I know we're across the county from each other, but mainly because we have so many things alike. In particular, I think that one of the things we have most alike is our kind of small city feel within the Contra Costa County. I wanted to first and foremost thank you for exploring this opportunity. And I call it an opportunity mainly because I know when we did this last year in Pinole, what we saw was an amazing opportunity to really galvanize and excite and inspire people in the city of Pinole. Someone mentioned earlier the cost of $1,000 to put up a flag. Well, let me tell you, there was nothing more worthwhile than seeing young people and students get excited about their city of Pinole by reminding the city council and the mayor how amazing it was to raise the pride flag simply for 1 month. Imagine if we had done that for the entire year. It is quite an opportunity both to sit on the planning commission in Pinole, but also to be a part of the Lambda Democrats, because this is the work that's needed, especially during this pandemic, to make our citizens feel good, to make our cities feel welcoming in the midst of a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and a lot of hurt, honestly. I think this is an amazing opportunity for you all to showcase to your city a sense of inclusiveness, a welcoming spirit, and an open opportunity of arms, right? Call it a virtual hug, if you will, but raising the flag is an opportunity to do that. Again, you all are so remarkable in your work, and I know that you are going to be leading your city to many, many things in the next couple of months. I want to challenge you all to really take the step today by raising the pride flag, because I think you'll realize it'll be a great gesture to honing in on that small town feel that I know Clayton and Pinole have in common, but also to making sure that folks feel welcome and really that you create a home and continue to create a home in the city of Clayton. So please consider raising the pride flag this June. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. And I just want to clarify, the price of $1,000 was to put up and take down flags throughout our downtown, because there are more than 24 of those flags up on individual light poles. The cost to raise a flag on a flagpole somewhere in town would be the cost of the flag, basically. So it would not be a significant cost, a little bit of time and labor to raise it. But what I was talking about was the cost to put up multiple flags throughout the downtown. And since downtown's pretty empty right now, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of people to see them this year. The next speaker is Cesar Zepeda, followed by Dee Vera.
All right, Cesar.
All right. Good evening, council members and mayor. Thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. My name is Cesar Cepeda. I am a community leader around the Bay Area. And today you are being asked to vote to fly the pride flag and issue a proclamation in the month of June. Today you're also being asked to make history in your city. You ask yourself, why is it important to fly this piece of cloth with colors on it? Raising the flag shows partnership with the community, letting every member of your community know that you are here for them and that you will not stand for hate, especially letting your youth know that you see them, that you support them, and that you are here for them. Suicide is the second leading cause of death amongst young people ages 10 to 24. LGBT youth have the highest rate of suicide amongst their peers, and 1 out of 6 students nationwide seriously considered suicide in the past year. The next speaker, she lives in Clayton. Her son tried committing suicide. So this is something real. This is affecting your community today. We are in quarantine to save lives. Raising a pride flag can help do the same. This flag will provide hope to the young people living in darkness, allowing them to dream for a better tomorrow, to live for a tomorrow. As Harvey Milk once said, it takes no compromising to give people their rights. It takes no money to respect the individual, and it takes no survey to remove repressions. I hope that you will join other cities in supporting the proclamation and raising the pride flag. Let's help open minds and hearts and save a life and to give hope. We can all use some hope right now. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Cesar. And the next speaker is Dee Vera, followed by Ms. Joey Smith.
All right, Dee, you're on.
Dee, can you hear us?
Dee, you're probably on mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Now we can.
Good evening, City Council and staff. My name is Dee Vera. I am a resident of Dana Hills in Clayton. I am also the mother of a gay son who survived a month-long hospital stay for an attempted suicide coupled with a life-threatening illness. I can tell you I'm a loving parent, but I am not a perfect parent. I can also tell you that even parents with the best parenting skills can miss the signs their child is suffering. My advice to parents of any child is to acknowledge you do not know everything, listen to your children wholeheartedly, and love and support them unconditionally. And I'd like to share a story written in October 2019, written by Julie Compton. For the first time last June, residents in Hoover City, Utah, saw their downtown adorned in rainbows. Sky Elizabeth Smith, 15, remembered driving with her family through the tiny Rocky Mountain town in northern Utah where she grew up, and finding herself surrounded by dozens of rainbow banners on both sides of Main Street. It made me feel really, really happy, she told NBC News. Smith, a high school student who identifies as pansexual, attempted suicide last year after what she described as a routine bullying from classmates. Some classmates, she recalled, told her that Jesus was going to return and kill anyone who is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer. When Sky's mother, Elizabeth, a daycare worker and lifelong member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, commonly known as the Mormon Church, saw her daughter's reaction to the banners, she was overcome with emotion. She looked at me and she said, "I'm not alone here." And I just started to cry. In fact, I'm going to cry now, she said. It was the first time in this valley she felt accepted. I share this story with you because it shows how impactful a supportive community, in addition to access to education and resources and supportive parenting, can have on our LGBTQ community, and in return will save lives. According to a Health Day article written in February 2020, suicidal behavior is declining among U.S. teenagers who identify as LGBTQ, but the problem still remains pervasive. This is a bit of good news, and our children in the LGBTQ communities are feeling more comfortable, but there is still work to be done. The sooner we understand that members of LGBTQ are not choosing a lifestyle, the better this world will be. Please support Pride Month in June, and please support our LGBTQ community. I am John's mom. Thank you.
Thanks, Dee. The next speaker is Ms. Joey Smith, followed by Carolyn Weisinger. You need to unmute your device, Joey.
Yes, I thank you.
There you go.
Much, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, councils, legal, and staff. Thank you so much for your time this evening, for the energy and effort that you put into making this meeting possible and doing your research. It is meaningful and it is appreciated. I originally was born and grew up in Cook County, Illinois. When I went to college in Oklahoma, it was amazing to see just how many people were hiding who they actually were. Now, mind you, I'm past 50, so this was a little while ago, but the age groups from college all the way to being grandparents of people who were not able to be free of who they are. Now, these are loving people, some who ring up your groceries, some who wash your car, take care of your lawns, people who you would enjoy sitting down and having a lunch with because you've had conversations over the fence. But do you really know who they are? Possibly not, because they may not feel comfortable sharing with you who they are. Whenever people who are forced to feel as if they cannot be their true selves, everyone else misses out on the beauty that's within that individual. I can't tell you how many people have told me how thrilled they are with how much color, unity, solidarity, and love they felt when they saw just how many flags have been raised in Contra Costa County. It made them feel a level of acceptance that they had never felt before. And these are many different age groups. I shared at the mayor's conference how a young man actually made a decision as to where he was going to work when he saw that he actually had community right there when he just happened to be going for his job interview. That is the type of thing that happens when you don't even realize that you can miss out on great people in your community and in your workplaces. Thank you for this consideration. Please do go ahead and make the decision to raise the flag. We're 51 years behind Stonewall. Let's make history now, and let's embrace the future together.
Thank you, Joey. The next speaker is Carolyn Weisinger, followed by Terry Denslow.
Thank you, Council. Thank you for considering this motion, and thank you to the folks who have already spoken, come before me. My name is Carolyn Weisinger. I am a board member also of the Lambda Democratic Club of Contra Costa County. I'm also the board president of San Francisco Pride, which of course is the home of the original Rainbow of Pride flags. And I just wanted to give a reminder. I don't want to rehash a lot of the great statistics that folks have given about our youth, but I will say, as a former educator, whatever numbers that are out there about how many LGBTQ youth are in our schools, those numbers are actually probably wrong, because a lot of our youth are still not able to be vocal about who they are. It's usually a lot higher when you actually get into our youth communities and into our schools and actually speak to them and give them the freedom and opportunity to actually be open about who they are. I had the beautiful opportunity as a teacher to sit in a room of 35 youth who did not know that they all identified as LGBTQ. and watch them all out themselves to each other and watch the tears that flow, watch the support that formed around them. But it's also not even just about our youth. We also remember that raising the flag is about visibility, and it's about visibility of our entire community. When you make visible a community that has not always been visible, then you see a lot of your elders, people who you go to the store with, people who you go to the senior community center with, start being able to be free to be themselves. And that's the most important thing about raising the flag and giving the proclamation. We're seeing this year, especially in this time of pandemic, where most prides around the country, San Francisco is not exempt, New York is now not exempt, all of them which are being now canceled due to this pandemic. And it's going to be imperative for folks who are in places that are not like San Francisco that normally flies 50 flags to actually still be able to go into their communities and say, hey, my community and my council supports me. And I give Clayton the same promise that I gave San Francisco. If it becomes an issue of getting someone out there on that pole, flags will fly in June, even if you have to put me out there to put them up myself. So I offer that to you. If that's what it takes, we need to get up there and raise those flags in June. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Carolyn. Terry Denslow, followed by Scott Denslow.
They only get 50-50 amount of time?
No, they get their 3 minutes.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. So thank you guys. Thank you, the council, for considering the recognition of the LGBT community. As you hear comments and craft your pathway forward, I'd like to impart some perspectives for you to consider. The LGBT community has undergone a long and hard-fought battle for recognition and has suffered heavily in this fight. According to analysis from data collected by the FBI, this community is the most likely target for violence and hate crimes above any other minority group. Sadly, we see the same trends in the youth population and understand that they're at greater risk for depression, suicide, and substance use. A 2015 study of high school students cited that 34% of the participants were bullied on school property. Even more troubling, as we heard mentioned before, the same study cited that 29% of LGBTQ youth had attempted suicide at least once in the prior year, as compared to 6% of their heterosexual peers. I don't have to ponder what it looks like to lose a loved one to suicide. Tomorrow will mark 18 years since my sister took her own life at the age of 22. And I witnessed firsthand how devastating this was and continues to be for my parents and for my family. She was a heterosexual woman suffering from depression, but it doesn't change the fact that my family can empathize firsthand with those feelings of loss and hopelessness and hurt that so many parents of LGBTQ children continue to have to endure. To me, this is about love and inclusion. The city of Clayton has long since recognized inclusiveness and diversity as a core value of our character. Showing our visual appreciation for the LGBT community can make a difference to the youth in our community that are struggling so greatly for recognition and acceptance. I hope we'll join other cities in Contra Costa County and recognize Pride Month this June. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. And the last speaker that I see is Scott Denslow.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
We can. Thank you, Scott.
All right. Thank you, and good evening. Thank you all for your time. My name is Scott Denslow, and this is my brief story of Clayton. It's one of my great joys in our lives that my wife and I finally had an opportunity to move to Clayton a few years ago. We always loved driving in from our home in Concord and seeing the Do the Right Thing campaign, the concerts in the Grove, and all of the wonderful outdoor festivals. Once we finally moved here, we quickly made an effort to get involved in the community, as many of you all know, through volunteering at these events and getting even helping to organize some of them. And honestly, what a joy it's been in just these few short years to really have everything come full circle that way. Now that said, as we heard earlier, 19 municipalities comprise Contra Costa County, 19, and only 2 of us don't recognize the LGBTQ community during the Pride Month of June, either by flying a flag or via proclamation, and 13 of them do choose to fly the flag. It troubles me a little bit that we would choose to not be one of them, and it would trouble me even more if we would continue to not recognize this kind of equality in 2020. I've heard from residents, and we've heard from members of the community just earlier in this conversation, who grew up here and who no longer feel welcome in their own community. And that also troubles me as a resident. Like I said, I love Clayton, and I want everyone to feel welcome here. It especially applies to those who grew up here. Can you imagine if your son, your daughter, a sibling, or parent all of a sudden didn't feel welcome in the community that you all grew up in together simply because of their sexual orientation? We don't do this anymore in California or in the Bay Area and in Contra Costa County, and I certainly hope that we're better than this in Clayton. But it's time for us to back it up with our actions, long overdue in fact. Do we really want to be the last city doing nothing? We're already one of the last two. I saw a resident ask recently on Nextdoor, why do we need to do this? Well, we need to do this to prove to ourselves that others and to others that we will actually live by the values stated in the Do the Right Thing campaign. We place these signs at the front of our town for a reason, and I expect us to adhere to them. I believe that we have a responsibility, one of the values, to do so. Do we, as a community, have the courage and the integrity, two other stated values, to treat all of the members of our community with the other stated values, the kindness and the respect that they so richly deserve? I believe that we should ask ourselves these questions, and we should either do the right thing or ditch the signs and the campaign altogether. I honestly hope that we do the right thing, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Scott. And we have another speaker, Peter Cloven.
Greetings, Council. I've been listening to this conversation with interest, and as a member of the Clayton Valley Presbyterian Church on Kirker Pass, which is the city of Clayton, for the last 4 years we've had a rainbow flag flying. I can tell you with certainty, the first year there was a lot of discourse and a lot of hate related to that flag being wove, and we had to replace it 10 times due to vandalism in the first year. In the last 3 years, it's flown pretty much continuously. And the amount of hate that was initially brought forth by that flag waving has now been well overcome by the amount of appreciation we received by those affected in the Concord and Clayton community who see it as they drive by. And trust me, when it's down, we know it because people are watching for it. It's a wonderful vision of inclusion, not just for the LGBTQ community, which it primarily stands for, but for everybody. The Rainbow Coalition was something that Jesse Jackson established a long time ago, back in his run for presidency. It's everybody under the rainbow. And in that regard, I think that we as a city should very much consider passing forth this ordinance, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. So we will bring it back. We will close the public comment period, and we will bring it back to the council for comments. Who wants to kick it off? CW.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. The reason I brought this forward a few weeks ago was because during our campaign, and Jeff can attest to this, at the League of Women Voters, we were asked the question if we would support the Pride Month, and all of us who were running at the time did support it and wholeheartedly supported it. The flying of the flag, I think, is an important part of this whole thing. I mean, if you take the colors of the flag being, what do they stand for? They stand for life and healing and sunlight and nature and serenity and spirit. These are the things and the values, I think, that fit right within Clayton. And it's almost embarrassing a bit for us to be one of the last two cities in our area to not recognize Pride. And I received many, many emails, a surprising amount of emails this week, and actually the last week or so. Some were against this, but the vast majority were for it. And I know that we, as a council, also received a couple of emails directed to us. One of them in support from Dublin Council member Sean Kumagai, and so I think the time has finally come for Clayton to stand up and say we do support Pride Month. we will fly the flag, and we welcome and we will do the right thing because we do welcome our gay brothers and sisters out there to our community. We know that they're here, and we welcome them and we appreciate them.
Thanks, CW. Tuya, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I actually had one resident approach me last year. It was in late June. And at that time, it was too late to bring it up to the council because we didn't have any remaining June meetings left. But at that point, I realized too that, I'm sorry that I did not independently think of this sooner. And I think I agree, we should have done this sooner. It is a commitment to diversity and inclusiveness. And we, as the city council, are in a position to make policy statements and statements that we want our city to be welcoming and inclusive and supportive to every resident. So I do think it's very important. The fact that first, I'm glad that the Presbyterian Church kept replacing the flag, but the fact that they had to replace it 10 times in the first year is exactly the reason why we should be doing this as well. So the flag certainly represents gay rights and related civil rights, but it also represents inclusiveness, tolerance, diversity, and a whole host of other positive things that send a message, a very positive message. So I am wholeheartedly in support of this. I do think that we should do not only the proclamation, but also do the flag, and that's certainly my decision, and I hope that the other council members agree.
Okay.
While I was on the campaign trail, I will say that was contacted by a number of our residents who are part of that community, and definitely we need to be inclusive. We have, I don't know how many members, but a number of those individuals are in our community. Having been on the United Way board for this San Francisco and the Greater Bay Area, we always embraced the LGBT community and made them a part of our community of participants who make decisions on donations, as well as recipient for various causes that are brought forward. I would support definitely a proclamation and would hope that the entire council also feels that same way, and we would move forward on that as well. With regard to a flag or flags being flown, I would think that it would be a perfectly wonderful spot to put it up at the flagpole in City Hall. That represents Clayton, the government of Clayton, the community of Clayton, and so forth, and would be a very visible sign that we are supporting the Pride Month in June 2020. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Jeff?
Yeah, thanks. I think the City Hall location is particularly apt. I just want to say, as Carl mentioned, this did come up like a year and a half ago, and I mentioned at the time, but to be clear, gay rights are civil rights, and I support all civil rights. This is raising a flag it is the smallest of gestures. It literally costs us nothing, and it is a tiny gesture that I think can go a long way. And so to me, the right to choose and to be able to love who you love, that is more valuable than almost all other rights. And so in my view, it is something that we should do, and I'm wholly supportive.
All right, well, I will make that a unanimous statement for our city council. I think the question of where to put the particular flag, I agree that City Hall is very symbolic, but the one that's going to be most visible right now to me would be at the library, where it's on Clayton Road, and you can actually see it as we're traveling around, particularly during this shelter at home time. There are very few people going to any place at City Hall or even likely to see it very well. So I would think that the library flagpole would probably be the most visible one that we have in town. And I know that it needs a little repair on the cord, as those of us at the library anniversary celebration found out, but that's something that can get done relatively easily. So that would be my suggestion. Other comments on that?
I would suggest that we use couple of flagpoles. I agree the City Hall would be symbolic, but I don't think it's very visible. So I would suggest that we find at least several locations where we could do this, and specifically the ones that are visible. I think the library is a good one, but I would like to see a couple other locations too.
I support the idea of the library. I think that's a very visible, as you mentioned, Mayor. And if we needed more than one to be visible, then my additional location again would be back at City Hall, because that is the sign of the community, and it may not be as visible as the one at the library, but yet it is extremely, in my view, symbolic. Thank you.
Okay, CW?
Well, I'm on Tuya's side here when it comes to where to put some flags. I do think that the Grove is also a very visible spot. The Grove and and I'm not sure if ours is the Memorial downtown at the entrance to the city, but somewhere in downtown, let's just say the Grove being visible. I think visibility is an important part of, especially for this first one, that we do something that is visible. And I appreciate the symbolic nature of the flying the flagpole at City Hall. But when it comes to visibility, certainly the library along Clayton Road and downtown in the Grove would say, hey, we're really supporting this, and we can always take this up again later once we find out also what the community has to say about it.
So one addition. So I'm looking at some of the photos in the staff report. I mean, we're currently flying the U.S. flag and California flag, and we're flying them concurrently. So there's the U.S. flag at the top and then the California flag. So I guess we're not asking to remove those flags by adding the rainbow flag to that. So I guess the question is, can we just add the third flag to all five of them?
Yes, it has to stay under hierarchy, though. It would have to be the third flag at the bottom.
Right. If I may, Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
I just want to clarify. Yes, thank you. 2 locations, we do not own the flagpole, nor do we maintain it. It's private property. The Clayton Museum, that's a pole that they own and maintain, and the VFW owns and maintains theirs, and they have other restrictions that they have, and they looked into this, and they're not allowed to fly it, as I understand, on their pole. But the museum, you would have to ask the museum owners, the museum organization, the Clayton Historical Society, if they would want to include it on that pole. It was a pole dedicated in memory to a particular family.
But we do have control of the Grove.
I will defer to the mayor on that. As I recall, and it's in the packet, the plaque on it was dedicated to Eldora Hoyer from the Hoyer family. So I think that would probably be one that you'd have to reach out to Bob Hoyer and find out what his feelings are about including that.
Although I think, Connie, you may have an answer to that, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, just because this was honored, the city owns the property under the flagpoles. So whether it was dedicated, in my mind, and Mala can speak to this, it still remains, especially at the Grove, a city flagpole.
Yes, I was going to just say, particularly at the Grove, the donation of the flagpole doesn't give the person who donated any rights with regard to what flag we might put up. This is city property, and the city would control what flags to put up at the Grove.
Although I couldn't imagine Bob Hoyer being against it.
So I would suggest that we do Clayton Library, Clayton City Hall, the Grove Park, and then we leave the Clayton Museum subject to us asking if the museum would do it.
Okay, and then we need to obtain the flags, and we need to have a proclamation. And could I ask CW and Tuya to work on a proclamation that we could adopt at our next council meeting?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
And I might, Mayor, if I may offer, if anybody from the council would like to reach out, I think the Rainbow Community Center has donated flags in the past to some of the cities, so there might be an opportunity. I know Dee Vieira works with them, and
You sound like a teacher from Charlie Brown.
does, to see if they would be interested in donating the flags to the flagpoles that we would fly it on.
Okay, so can I ask CW and Tuya to do that outreach and see if we can't get 3 flags donated?
Absolutely. And if Dee is still on the line, I'll be calling you.
Okay, very good. All right, so I need a motion.
Well,
I'll make that motion.
Okay, then I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Okay.
I think I beat you to it.
Tuya and CW on this one. All right. We need a roll call vote, please, Janet.
Okay, Councilmember Catalano,
Aye.
Councilmember Diaz,
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Juan,
Aye.
and Mayor Pierce.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for chiming in on that and being here as part of our public comment on that. We very much appreciate your attendance and your enthusiastic support for this item. That's really heartening to us. The next item on the agenda, we also have some public comment that we know will be there, but this is in a matter to amend the City of Clayton's preferential residential parking permit pilot program. Whew, that's a lot of P's. To include all permit parking requirements all the time during the shelter-in-place order. And so I know we've had some people who have commented to us by email, and I think they are also on the phone. So can we have a report on this, please, from our police chief, Chief Warren?
Hi, good evening. So as you know, this report is to talk about and present to you the option of amending the current preferential permit parking program at Regency and Rialto Drive from its current state of Saturdays, Sundays, and federal holidays to make it 7 days a week, all times. And this comes about because the Mount Diablo State Parks has closed their parking lot at South Mitchell Canyon Road, yet they have not closed the park to people, and there is nowhere for people to park if they want to access the trails. And so the Regency Rialto Drive area has been inundated with people all days of the week. And not only their streets, but other surrounding streets. But the problem has been compounded since the park district closed the parking lot. I've spoken to their superintendent a couple of times, and they are not willing to reopen the parking lot. So the local streets are heavily impacted, and there are limited options as to how we can help relieve that. Questions?
Okay, questions from the council?
Yes, I have to compliment the chief and the police department on their enforcement activities over those 3-day weekends and that, because I know the residents are very supportive of that. Turns out, as she just mentioned, I happened to go up there on Saturday, and there was just an enormous amount of parking throughout the entire Regency development and beyond. And the police department was down there issuing citations, Unit 1744, to make sure that people were, adhering to the requirement that they either have a permit displayed or otherwise, and therefore, if they were not, then they received a citation. interestingly enough, I was up there for a little bit, and there was a number of residents also noting the seemed to be a very large community of people coming in there. And while I was getting ready to leave, a tow vehicle pulled in. And I thought, oh, maybe the police department is actually going to tow one of the vehicles. Well, it turned out it was one of a disabled vehicle from another person, not a resident though, and they were parked within the other area. My question would be, are we able to track any multiple offenders? I know that most people probably get one citation, they get it, pay it, and may come back again. I know that I've talked to at least one or two of the residents up there, and they are in fact telling me that there are people who reoccur and park illegally or whatever, and they just say, I'll just pay the citation. And so, which is probably what they can afford to do and so forth. My point is that, you put that little and or tow statement on the warning or on the signage up there. I think if this thing continues to drag on and be a problem, I would be very interested in finding out if there are multiple offenders that reoccur over a period of time. And if so, they, in my view, would be a candidate to have the vehicle towed.
Chief, do you have an
Yes,
answer?
we looked at that. I didn't look at it this past month, but I looked at it previous, and we have not had any repeats. If we do, there is a tow authority that would allow us to tow, but we are not. We're not obviously seeing a bunch of scofflaws that are repeating. They may flippantly say that they don't care, they can afford it, but no. The answer is no. We have not seen repeats, but we can tow if we do.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
CW, and then to you.
Chief, just real quickly, are most of the people that you're ticketing now during this outbreak, are they from Clayton or outside the area?
So I took a little look this weekend, and I'll just kind of read you the list as I have it. It was Concord, Sacramento, Pittsburgh, Stockton, Dublin, Brentwood, Bay Point, Castro Valley, Oakland, Vallejo. That's where the cars are registered to that receive the tickets. So some local, some not so local. And that's just where they're registered to. It's possible those people just haven't registered to a current address.
Thank you.
Okay, to you.
So quick question, a comment first. So I remember when we last year implemented this program, I got an angry call from a Berkeley resident who had been ticketed, and he definitely voted not to come back to Clayton ever. So I don't know that's the case. But my question is, so right now the pilot program is Saturdays, Sundays, and federal holidays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So is the proposal to do those same hours, but just do them every day of the week, and then only during the shelter-in-place period?
The proposal is to do them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, only for the shelter-in-place. Right now it's staying light later. So, people could push off at 6 p.m. and still get a hike in theoretically in the daylight. I feel it would be best just to discourage parking in general at all hours, at least for the shelter, just for the shelter in place, and go once the shelter in place is lifted, we just go back to what it was.
Does this also include, I was looking through the materials and I couldn't tell, is the proposal to expand the affected area to the areas that were excluded in the original pilot program, that being the end of Regency and the portion of Regency Drive a little bit north across from the old seminary that doesn't have houses near it? Are we intending to include those areas now, or is it leaving the same areas the same?
The only thing we're doing is changing the days and times to the affected area, not proposing to increase. I know probably some of the neighborhoods would find that
Break it up,
acceptable,
Chief.
but logistically, it's very difficult. We don't have poles placed to place signs. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little hard. You're a little unclear. I think the answer was no change in the area is the current proposal. You know, could you do like a temporary, those barricades that we lay downtown and say like no parking? I mean, I think that would be enforceable, but I don't know if that's something that we're considering or is even in the mix.
I think we could. We'd have to, you know, have Mala weigh in whether we could expand the area, but you know, my fear would be those temporary barricades would get moved because I think people would probably do that as, you know, a means to try and get out of a ticket. But the problem is the more we expand, those homes have not purchased parking permits. And so the mechanism to do that, you know, requires a lot of staff work, and we don't have the offices open. It would all have to be through mail. It would not be something that we could do quickly. There's a lot of logistical problems to expanding the area.
Yeah.
Did you have something else, Jeff?
No, I was just looking at. I wrote some things down, but I think it was the same question that.
You know, I'm going to follow along on that. I understand what the chief is saying about barricades could be moved, but you know, I mean, somebody could take the temporary sign off of the pole as well, and I'll, before we go to the audience, and I'm sure we have comments there, I know at least two that we have already. My preference would be to add at least the area that is the downhill slope right above the entrance to the park and put that on barricades. That's not handicap accessible. It would not be blocking anybody's pathway, but I think it sends the message that there is no parking up there at all unless you live there. And that would be my personal preference. But let's go to the attendees and see if Dan Walsh is the first one who's raised his hand. Dan, you're up. As soon as you're unmuted, you're up.
I think I just unmuted. Can you hear me?
Good. Very good.
Okay, so I really do like the idea of putting those signs, like utility people have work done outside the houses up and down the street. PG&E put those signs out there, and it worked. People did not park there. So, but I don't know if you have my email or not. If you have my email, I don't have to talk. If not.
We do have your email, and Janet can read that for us.
Okay, I'm good then. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dan. Janet, do you have his email? Can you read that?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to go ahead and start right now at 3 minutes. This is a comment card from Dan and Beth Walsh representing our interests at 152 Regency Drive, Clayton, California. For the last few weeks since the California State Parks decided to close Mitchell Canyon, Regency Drive is now a studio parking lot for all hikers. The comments in the Mercury News were inaccurate. The comments in that article indicate a couple hundred of hiker per week. That is very much lowballing it. I would say it's more like 1,000 easily during Saturdays and maybe 500 depending on the weather on Sundays, although they do come more with nicer weather. I have personally witnessed groups of up to 20 plus gather outside of my house violating every possible social distancing regulation. These hikers are nothing like the hiker issues we brought before the City Council last year. These hikers are way worse. The level of rudeness is something I've never witnessed here in the last 20 years. I've had these hikers basically challenge me, violate my personal social distancing while blowing leaves off sidewalks, park outside my house telling my neighbor, Jeff Weiner, so what, call the cops. When Jeff nicely pointed out he was parking in permit area. I have had hikers tell me I can afford the ticket. Jeff had one clown tell him I will take the ticket. Last week while walking my dog legally outside the state park down at the gate, which these hikers violate, as well as dogs in the state park,
I personally witnessed a female hiker squatting down in the creek defecating. We are not anti-hikers here in Regency. We are a residential street with a lot of elderly, retired folks that are trying to get through all this COVID-19 stuff. It just does not help the situation and our health to overrun with these hikers that are 90% of out-of-towners. This problem was caused 100% by the California State Park System. They decided to kick that can down the road to the city of Clayton when the state park folks closed Mitchell Canyon. They're being very hypocritical with the whole we need to stop the social gathering at Mitchell Canyon. But yet it's okay to cause a situation where the social gathering is now in a residential neighborhood. The state park caused this problem and should be held accountable. To Chief Warren and City Council folks, thank you for listening to my email. The restricted parking is still better than the way it was before, and we're appreciative of it. Sadly, we still need your help again until the situation blows over. Respectfully, Dan and Beth Walsh. And that is it.
Thank you, Janet.
You're welcome.
I do not see any other hands raised from the folks, excuse me, who are on the phone or online. Oh, yes, I do. There goes Jeff Wiener. Jeff, you're up. We're trying to unmute you.
Yes. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
I thought I was going to be on video. I wore my best T-shirt. First, I want to thank you for the pilot program. It's been a huge success until the current health crisis and the shelter-in-place was mandated. The Parks Department closed the parking lot at Mitchell Canyon.
Jeff, can I interrupt you for a second? Do you have the audio on both your phone and your device?
No, ma'am. I'm just on the speaker. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but it was reverberating, so it was echoing and making it hard for you to speak. So go ahead.
Is this better?
Yes, it's much better. Thank you.
Okay. I moved the microphone. Sorry. Okay. Can I get my 3 minutes and start again then?
Go ahead and start again.
Okay. Madam Mayor and council members, first, thank you for the pilot program. It's been a huge success until the current health crisis and the shelter-in-place was mandated, and the Parks Department closed the parking lot at Mitchell Canyon. I do like the idea that about putting the barrier at the bottom, and I'll come to that later. The Clayton Police have been wonderful in writing tickets to those illegally parked cars. We all thank the chief and her officers for their attention to the legal parkers. Now, with the park lot closed, our neighborhood has become the only parking lot for hikers. The vast majority drive here from all over the Bay. When asked why they're here, they say it's because the lot is closed. I personally have talked to people, and they've come from Lafayette, San Jose, and Sacramento. Like the chief said, they're coming from all over the Bay Area and beyond. The park has kicked its problem over to us in the city. There are groups of people parking and congregating to enter the park. We've all taken pictures of large groups, non-social distancing, and putting us at a health risk. The order is to stay in place, and it specifically says, do not drive to get exercise, but walk in your neighborhood. These hikers bring the dogs, don't wear masks, and do not keep their social distance. If we're outside working in our front yard, they do not move away to keep the required distance. Some of the attitudes are unbelievable, as Dan said. We've all had issues where we've said, hey, please don't park here, you're going to get a ticket. And on a number of occasions, they said, it's worth the cost, or I don't care. I walk with my wife every day downtown, about a mile or two. We see less people there than in our neighborhood at any time. I have pulsed the neighbors about the hikers, and an older couple who lives at the beginning of the permit area said they wanted to take a walk but turned around when they saw the crowd of hikers at the park gate. They don't feel safe. We've written to the park. I personally wrote to the governor and even the media to inform them of the negligent actions by the park. We take this issue as very urgent and really upset with the park's lack of concern for residents. Many of us, especially those at the end of Regency, are in the high-risk group for COVID-19 and don't need all these hikers in our area. We appreciate any help in stopping these hikers from using our area in violation of stay in place and thereby jeopardizing our health. This is not a parking problem, but a health problem. It's the health of me, my family, and my neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I see Terry Denslow has her hand up. We also have another letter that was submitted that Janet will read in a couple of minutes. from Jason Hoy. I think that's how you pronounce it. And Terry Denslow, you're up.
Okay. So I wanted to, I don't have any input on whether you extend the shelter in place. That I wanted to speak just on a couple of things, just to clarify some of the information that I've been seeing on social media and in the news, especially the Mercury News article that was referenced earlier. So a couple of things that folks may not recognize, but probably good to take into account. All 280 state parks, the vehicular access was closed. It's not just Mount Diablo. Specifically in Mount Diablo, there are 60 entrances into the park. There's 25 of those 60 entrances are in neighborhoods like what we see in Regency, where there's no, where they just back up into a neighborhood. Of those entrances, of the 60 entrances into the park, 4 of them are paid entrances. So, so right now, my husband and I are volunteers with the park. I'm not speaking on behalf of the park. I just want folks to understand some of the information, some of the information that's out there. We are roving the park about 4 to 5 days a week all over the entire Bay Area, and what we've seen at Regency is, what folks are describing is correct. There's increased density there. There also is in Diablo, there also is in Alamo, and there also is in Danville. And I think folks are aware that the increased density. So it's not necessarily, that hikers, I don't think necessarily hikers are targeting Regency because it's a free spot or that one area. We're seeing increased density across all of the entrances. You're seeing it across you have multiple entrances in Clayton as well. You've got 2 on Marsh Creek, and I think 3 or 4 on Morgan Territory. The Marsh Creek entrance at the 3 Springs, I've rarely ever seen a single car there. And when my husband and I were hiking that 2 weeks ago, there were 10 cars there. So the increased density is happening everywhere throughout the access into the park, because people are trying to get access into the park. So that was one thing I just wanted to, folks to understand. And I think I support what you're, talking about with increasing the restrictions and shelter in place, during this time period. I recognize that it's a challenge for, the folks in Regency. It's a challenge for the folks in Dana Hills as well. And of those 25 neighborhoods, some of those do have parking permit programs. A handful of them do not too. So as you guys kind of continue through the pilot, those might be some good data points. But I just wanted to point that out, as I saw in the Mercury News article a quote that said an unsupervised backdoor entrance, and I'm not sure that's really accurate. All right.
10 seconds.
I'm good.
Thanks, Terry. That's good information to have as well. But even though there is trouble for people getting into the park, if they're coming from outside Clayton, they ought to be staying home. So I will reiterate my position, and I will ask my council members. There is one, Jeff Weiner. Jeff?
I'm sorry, it's my wife.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Shirley.
Hi. In response to Ms. Denslow, honestly, we living here, we don't care about the state parks. The governor has asked us to walk in our neighborhoods, not to expose other people. I know I have seen on the news some neighborhoods with signs asking the people who are driving up to go to trails, asking them to go home because they are putting us all at risk. The park made us unsafe. Let the other communities deal with their problem. We're just simply asking you to help us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And I think you've heard at least from me that I'm all about that. And now I don't see any other hands raised. So we will close the public comment and go back to the council members and let them all weigh in. So who's
Mayor, can I just
I'm
add
sorry,
one?
Chief.
Sorry, I just wanted to add just one thought for you to consider as you guys discuss this. If you expand the program to close off what I call the shoe or the horn or, the end of Regency, we are really pushing this problem into the other surrounding neighborhoods. I really don't think that people are going to stop coming. I think they're going to inundate Monterey Parkway and El Molino and Weatherly. And I just fear that if we close that off, we're creating other problems that are harder to solve. And that's it. Just wanted to add food for thought.
Okay, thank you. I did hear indirectly from somebody on Weatherly that had an issue because their access was blocked, and it was blocked very early in the morning. So I'm all in favor of the 24/7 at this point. So other comments from the council?
Mayor, if I may, did you have a written comment still from the city clerk to be read?
Yes, we do. You're absolutely right. We have one from Jason Hoy or Janet, can you read that?
Yes, absolutely. I'll start the timer right now. Good day. I'm an avid hiker. I actively visit Mount Diablo trails. I always have. One place I now funnel to is the unofficial Regency Drive access point. I understand the concerns of the neighborhood. I see high school age people disregarding social distancing guidance. However, I also see the grand majority of folks following the guidance properly. I suspect that some neighbors at Regency Drive are petitioning for the road to become restricted to outsider parking. I implore you to reject their demands. They have the weekend. Keep it that way. In this trying time, many folks are finding refuge on the trails. It is the last place where things are semi-normal. I'm happy to see so many people inspired to get out and exercise under the sun and out in nature. Any further parking restrictions will only serve to funnel folks even more, but someplace else. Hiking is not prohibited by the quarantine order or by East Bay Park. The grand majority of people follow the guidance, respect the neighborhood, and appreciate their hospitality. Thank you. Jason Robert Who.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did we get any? Oh, I see Dan Walsh is raising his hand. Or did that just not get put down?
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Reiterate that we are not anti-hiking at all. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Dan.
Okay. We just do not like large crowds of like 20 people, 30 people coming outside our houses.
We get it, Dan, and you have spoken. You have spoken tonight, so you've had your 3 minutes, and
Gotcha.
we got it. We got your message loud and clear. Okay, is there anyone else on? I don't see any other hands raised. Do you, Connie?
I do not, Mayor.
Okay, then we're going to close the public comment period and bring this back to the council. So, Tuya, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm fully supportive of what staff is recommending, and I would suggest that we go that route. I wanted to add a little bit more to what Chief Warren said about the expansion of the program. The other thing is if we expand the program to include any other residential area, we are, first of all, we haven't notified those residents that we'd be preventing them from parking in front of their properties, so there's a notification thing. But we'd be also requiring those new neighbors to go out and get a parking program during this shelter in place, during at a time when we're supposed to stay home. That's an added task for the city, added cost. So I would strongly discourage us from expanding the area to something that is not provided in the staff report. So I would fully supportive of what's being proposed by staff, and ready to vote on it tonight.
What about the area down where the houses are not on Regency, right next to the entrance itself? How do you feel about that one?
Well, I just heard the chief say that could also be pushing the issue somewhere else. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. I think I'm a little indifferent on which way to go on that, but I don't want to create issues elsewhere either.
Okay. Okay. CW, do you have your hand raised?
Yes, I did. I'm supporting this as well, but the question I have is there a way, and I guess this is directed more toward the chief, but is there a way to make a notice that permit parking only ahead, so that we keep it within the same area that we have the permits now, and then just let people know that, hey, past this point, you're in trouble if you park here without a permit.
The signs are really, really obvious. Like, you can't miss them when you're driving in. You'll see it.
I know, but it seems to me like, from what I'm hearing from the public comment, is that people don't care. They're coming from out of town. They, it seems to me like if we had some kind of warning, even the decoy car, if we had that sitting out there, anything that would just warn people that, hey, we're gonna ticket you if you're up here.
That's why I want to close off the end of the street, because they're still hoping to score one of those 3 spots. So let's go to the chief, and then Jim raised his hand as well. So chief first.
I am exploring the idea of seeing if we could borrow a signboard from a city, a programmable signboard that says permit parking ahead, and place it somewhere at the top of Region C to, warn people just as a visual. But the city itself does not have a programmable signboard. So that's just dependent upon whether I can find a city willing to loan us one. But yeah, I do think that's a good idea. We just don't have the resources presently.
To address, if I may, Chris Thorson borrowed one for the Art and Wine from, I don't know if he got it from the county, that it was programmable on that, right, which I would definitely support. But back to this problem of continual disregard for a ticket. After you get a ticket after a couple of times, and I hate to keep beating this, I think all you need to do is tow 1 or 2 cars, and when they got to pick that car up, not until Monday, they're going to get the message, and they're going to start telling their friends, hey, they mean business down there.
A long hike to get home.
Yeah, we will tow any car we can legally tow. To this point, we have not had that situation.
Right.
I have a question.
Hold on 1 second. Tuya's lit up for some reason. No? Okay, Jeff?
If we expand this 24/7, do we have, how do I say this? Are we prepared to enforce it during all of those times? That's a bigger ask than the current state. So I don't know. I guess Chief Warren, you are recommending it, so I assume that you are prepared to handle the enforcement over the expanded time period. So that's fine. The question, not necessarily a question, but the idea that people are choosing to pay the fine, as Jim is saying that we should tow more people, I think we should also consider raising the fine. I think that may help increase the deterrent that we are trying to achieve. I don't think that we're trying to make money. I think we're trying to prevent the parking. And if the fine is low enough, it doesn't serve that purpose. But if it becomes high enough, then I think it is a more tailored fit to serve that purpose. So I'd be, as Julie, as you said, if we block the bottom of the hill as well, maybe not necessarily the part right across from Seminary up higher, but just that bottom portion with temporary signs. It doesn't impede traffic. It's not really a visual problem, and I think that could help as well. So I'm not the biggest cheerleader for it, but if we wanted to go that way, I'd be good with that as well. But I think really exploring the increase in fine would serve our purposes even stronger.
Let me ask 2 questions in addition to that for the chief. Could we do dawn to dusk on our sign? Or do we already have them to go 24/7? Because I know we've already ordered some signs. And
Right.
the other question was, I just forgot. I'll think of it.
Was Jeff talking about temporarily raising the?
That was the fine. Is that regulated by state law? That was my question.
I think Mala has an answer to that.
Yes, we discussed this the last time around, and the California Vehicle Code wants us to align with other cities within the county. And I think Chief Warren had investigated this the last time around, and I think it was Concord, Walnut Creek, and Pittsburgh were all within $40 to $45 for charging this fee. And then I think throughout the state it was anywhere between 40 and 50, but the vehicle code really specifies the county, other jurisdictions within the county. So I think we set it at 45 intentionally because it matched what other cities were doing. So I am concerned that if you start to exceed that significantly, we will have a problem with not matching the vehicle code if someone wanted to challenge a ticket that gets issued.
Yeah, I think that there's a reasonableness argument that needs to be made. I'm not saying, we need to go to something excessive, but I think it says similarly situated programs in the county. I don't know how many are similarly situated. If we could, make an argument that we've delineated somehow. I think at a minimum, I would say the fees associated with the fines should be borne by the perpetrator, and the amount of the fine should at least wholly come to the city. But in any event, I think there would be room to increase it to really act as a deterrent, even more so than towing one car, because that's fine, but not everyone knows everybody. And, that message may not go out. But if you increase the fine, that does do that. And I think we do have the ability to raise it, within some guidelines.
Chief, you want to get a word in edgewise?
Yeah, I do. Just a couple things. As far as the fine, I actually, when I come back to council, or my plan was when I come back to council to make this a permanent program, I was going to ask to raise the fine to $49 instead of $45, because $49 is what what our standard parking fine is for other similar violations in the city. That was a bit of an oversight when we set it at 45. So the Muni code that we use to cite this particular violation is typically $49. So I was going to already ask to raise it $4 to match that. And I did compare our fine to others, and our $45 is in line. $49 I think would be too, but more I think on the lines of what Mala was talking about and what the vehicle code says. There's also case law that came out in February of 2019 that talks about prohibition of excessive fines, and that if we set a fine excessive, if we said, $500, a person could challenge that based on, they call it, the case law I have in front of me, it says it's the 8th Amendment prohibition on excessive fines. So, there's certainly, I think, room to increase the fine, but I think we need to be careful about how much. And the other thought there is we don't advertise what the fine is, so somebody parking there really doesn't know what it is. They don't know what ticket they're facing. We don't want to put the fine amount on the signs because those change over time, based upon what the state and the county does as far as their fees. So my only other thought, and it's probably not legal, but Mala can weigh in, was, could we do double fines like you see at the on the highways, for emergency workers? Like, could we do a double fine during the shelter in place because we're addressing a specific problem? If we could legally do that, that might be a big deterrent if we could properly notice it. But those are my thoughts on the fines, and I don't remember what the other question was.
The violation for civil, or the violation for the shelter in place, what is that fine? Like if people are violating that order?
I believe you know what, I don't know off the top of my head, but
the max is 1,000, right, Chief?
What's that?
The max is 1,000, so we have flexibility up to 1,000.
That's if you're violating, I think, the shelter in place order separate from the parking
Yeah.
violation.
That's what I was asking.
Right.
But I mean, if someone is driving essentially traveling, which the shelter in place order says do not do, isn't that pretty strong evidence that they're violating?
I personally believe it's a very gray area, that our county has not specified how many miles you're allowed to travel for exercise, which is clearly permitted. I read an article today that San Mateo County has definitively said you can't travel more than 5 miles to exercise. So they're able to turn people away from recreational places. Our order doesn't specify how far, and it does allow you to travel it does allow you to, recreate outside. It just asks that you stay in your neighborhood. So I think we have a probably, a gray area that's difficult.
Okay. Yeah, I just to be clear, I wasn't suggesting we go into the excessive land. I think the case that you're referring to is Tim's, and Tim's was about civil asset forfeiture. And I don't even think I'm approaching anything close to that. What I was thinking of more of was in the range of, rather than 45 or 49 to less than 200, maybe less than 150. I think that I think it's worth exploring. So.
Yeah, I would support it as long as it's legal. I would defer that to Mala.
Okay, let's go to Jim.
Yeah, I just was curious in today's environment, and you say some of these people are just saying off the cuff that, well, I'm going to pay it, or, go ahead, give me the citation. I'm wondering, in today's environment, is the court even trying to collect the money? Are people just taking the ticket and going away? Because I know at one time in San Francisco, they found some vehicles that had, 40, 50 tickets for illegal parking and no collection of any fines.
So the city contracts with a service called Data Ticket. They're a ticket processing service that many police departments use, and they collect our fines for us. We have not really had a problem with fine collection. I can tell you that the amount of money that we are getting has risen from, on average, of $500 a month pre-permit parking program to about $2,000 a month post-permit parking program. We're really not having a collection problem.
Yeah, okay, good. Good to know.
I would just submit then that these people are thinking this is the cost of admission and they don't really care about the parking fine. So I would like to raise it to at least the 49 that the chief is suggesting, and then if we can figure out another way to deter people. But do we have a consensus on what we want to do today? I think the chief has raised some things for the future for either the permanent program or something we might want to amend it when we carry forward. But what do we want to do tonight to give these folks some relief?
Mayor Pierce, before you go into council discussion, you had raised a question. You had asked if the signs were already made, the temporary signs for 24/7, or whether it could be changed to sunrise to sunset, and I'll let the city manager confirm, but my understanding, I believe, was maintenance had already purchased those signs so that they could activate fast should the council proceed tonight. So I don't know if that's correct, city manager?
Yeah, so Mayor, those signs are done for 24/7. We could always change them later. They're a few $100s, so we could, if you so choose.
I'm fine with 24/7. I just think it ought to be at least more than the 7 to 6 or whatever it was before.
Right, and
I would only.
I'm sorry, if you're thinking of not 24/7, rather than dawn to dusk, I would prefer definitive times. Everybody's interpretation of dawn to dusk can be a little different, you know, when the sun peaks or ebbs. So if you don't want to do 24/7, I would pick actual times.
I think 24/7 is fine. I would only suggest that because this is a rapid change, especially something different than some of the residents may not have been aware of so quickly, that we exercise a little discretion, if possible, for those residents that may be caught unaware.
Yeah, I would actually say if it's a resident's car, let them know first. I mean, you have the address. If it belongs to the house it's parked in front of, that's one thing.
Right. I wouldn't want to wake somebody up in the middle of the night, but if they called us and we were able to verify it was their car, we can dismiss a ticket at the office level.
Okay.
So the object for us is to immediately give them some relief by making it 24/7. We're allowing the residents to then call the police because the violator is violating at any time. Right. And so my proposal would be to get going on this ASAP. Let's raise the fine to $49 for now. If we have to revisit that later, if it's not working, we can always do that. This whole thing's a pilot program anyway. And that way, since the signs are all ready to go at 24/7, let's just keep it 24/7. And if we can get some extra signage or whatever, we can look into that to tell people that could be in trouble if they go past this point without a permit. I think that would be great.
I would fully agree.
I think the only open...
I think the most important thing is we meet only every 2 weeks, and we don't know how long the shelter in place is going to be effective, but I think we want to act tonight. So I would concur with what CW just said.
Yeah, I would as well. I think the only open question is the bottom of Regency. Like, I don't think we have consensus on that at this point.
I really want that blocked off. I really do. I mean, that's half the traffic is going.
I would support that as well.
And when you say, just so I'm clear, the bottom of Regency, is that right at the entrance of the gate?
Right at the entrance to
the
the
little peak.
Mayor, when you say blocked off, are you saying physically blocked?
Signed, no parking.
Sign. Okay.
The same.
Like those little barricade things that you could put there that say no parking, whatever.
Right. We use them for the 4th of July.
If we have them, yeah. I'm assuming we have them.
Yes, that's correct. We do have them.
So I'd be supportive of that as well at the bottom.
Who's going to make a motion?
So, well, what do you guys think?
I'll move that we just what Julie said with regard to Regency and get those signs up 24/7 and keep the fine at $49. I don't know how our numbers are going, but let's move it now.
Mala, if I can ask through the mayor, is raising the fine permissible for them to include tonight's resolution? Not included in that we have a resolution for our.
I'm having a really hard time with both of you.
Sorry.
Yeah, the sound is really bad.
Mala, we're not able to raise the fine on this.
It was the fine, I believe, a separate resolution.
Yes.
My suggestion is that
what about expanding that bottom area of Regency? Can we do that? Or
I'm okay with that. As I understand, that portion is not impacted by residents. My concern was notice, which Councilmember Catalano also raised, but if there's not residents in that area, then I'm okay with extending the area for that small portion. But I would suggest that the fine not be increased since that was a separate resolution, but that could be reconsidered as part of the pilot program or in a more immediate future date if this continues to extend.
So we can do the area next to the entrance, but the fine issue should come back for a subsequent resolution at perhaps even the next meeting. to change the.
Yep, that sounds reasonable to me, but I would encourage somewhere in our process we track to make sure that there's not a repeat offender and then take appropriate action. I don't know I don't know if you need that added to the motion or not. But.
Is that something we can do, Chief?
Yeah, we have tracked that up till January. I'll look at the last 3 months.
Great.
Okay. That would be helpful. That would be helpful. So I have a motion.
Second.
Okay, and a second. So all in favor? Janet, please call the roll.
And to clarify, the motion is to extend to the bottom, right? Because I think Carl broke up a little bit, so. Okay.
Okay, Councilmember Catalano?
Aye.
Councilmember Diaz?
Yes.
Councilmember Wolf?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Juan?
Aye.
And Mayor Pierce?
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all. I really appreciate all the staff work on this. They've worked really hard. You guys have all done a lot on this, and I think this will help to give some relief to those residents out there. And as far as those folks who haven't gotten permits that might want to be able to park in front of their own house, I think most of those folks would have gotten a permit if they didn't have a driveway or garage space to use. So certainly if they have an extraordinary circumstance, they would have the opportunity to be forgiven by the police department for that. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So that brings us to the end of our action items. Connie, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just wanted to let everybody know we'll be on top of that early tomorrow morning. We'll have our maintenance crews change the signs. They're ready to go. And we'll block off the bottom portion with barricades. So if you receive any phone calls, be prepared to start receiving, on both sides.
Okay, very good.
And if I can clarify, I think
Laura, you're breaking up.
You need to stop using smoke signals and actually use a phone.
Laura, we can't understand a word you're saying.
Signs that say no parking.
You're breaking up.
Okay.
I think
okay, I just wanted to make sure we're not. I can follow up tomorrow.
So I believe what Laura is asking is the bottom of
Regency. Don't know why it's not working. Is it working?
So Chief,
I believe.
Would you like to interpret?
Yeah, I believe I'm hearing her ask, and I think I have the same question. The bottom of Regency that we're expanding this to, are we putting permit parking only? Or are we putting no parking?
You're putting no parking.
No parking. Okay.
No parking.
Or do you want to go permit parking?
No, I think it's permit parking. We need to keep it the same as how we've agendized this.
That's fine.
Okay.
Just nobody outside the neighborhood can park there.
That's fine.
Wait, so just to make sure, we're going to put barricades across.
No,
because they have to be able to turn around into somebody's driveway.
Not across, but no. So what Connie is saying is, if you put a barricade in the parking spot, no one with a permit will be able to park there anyways because it will be blocked.
No, I thought we were going to put the sandwich boards basically on the sidewalks, in place of a pole.
Right.
So that people
Okay, that's fine too. Oh, yeah, that works. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. All right.
That works fine.
I thought we couldn't have sandwiches.
You had to bring your own tonight, CW. All right. We have concluded, I think, all of our action items. The next item on the agenda is council items limited to council requests and directives for future meetings. Do I have any suggestions from council members or staff?
So
yeah,
I would ask, so this is the same question, and I know that it wasn't on the agenda, so I'm going to ask that we have it as a discussion. It can probably be included in the future, but rather than take the position of what is the most defensible, Mala, if you could look into what is the most aggressive thing defensible in terms of the magnitude of fine, I'd like to take the position that we want to increase the fine to the maximum extent possible, not necessarily the most conservatively defensible.
Do you mean that for the violation of the executive orders for physical distancing, or do you mean
No,
that?
the parking fine.
Okay.
And to clarify, is that you're not concerned if someone challenges the ticket and we can't defend the amount?
Well, no, I mean, if we absolutely can't defend it, like if we make it like $1 million, then that's, pretty much no. But, if we make it, if 45 is okay and 49 is okay, 51 is probably okay. And somewhere there's a line where
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
We get to the point, and I want to get to the maximum.
I understand. Okay. And is that for, and this is for, again, not just the pilot program that's ongoing, but including the shelter-in-place extension?
Yeah. Yeah, the maximum.
Okay.
And we might check with those other communities that Terry Denslow was mentioning that have access points. I mean, if Diablo and Black Hawk and Danville and Alamo have access points and they have permit parking programs, we might check with them and find out what their fines are. That might give us some ammunition or not. Okay, that's good. Any other items for future agendas? Okay, very good. Then the next item would have been a closed session. We have none, although we will have one coming up before too long, and I will be letting you know about that soon. And then we come to adjournment. And I would like to adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of a very long-time Clayton resident, Joan Manning, who passed away earlier this month. She was Greg Manning's wife, but more importantly, she was a wonderful volunteer for our community. She was always at the Art and Wine. She was at every event we had. She was there as a volunteer. She was at Clayton Counts Down as one of our huge supporters of that event, and was just a wonderful woman and a wonderful citizen and part of our community. And so in her memory, I'd like to adjourn tonight's meeting and hold a good thought for her. And
May I add,
yes.
Please,
Yeah.
Lou Gernhardt, who also passed away, and we never recognized him.
Okay, yes. And Lou was also a huge volunteer, and his whole family was, for that matter, but that was a very sudden loss as well. So two great members of our community who have been lost very recently. So we will adjourn in their memory this evening. So thank you all and have a good night, and we'll be in touch. Take care.
Great.
Good night.